on IG and YouTube.
Dustin's giving us a hard time for being
tardy.
Yes. For anybody that follows us, you should know, if you don't know, you should know that 10:45 is a general guideline. It's not a hard and fast rule by any means. Right?
Yes.
Usually the way this works,
Within 15 minutes.
I'm going to throw you under the bus a little bit. Usually the way this works is 10 or 15 minutes beforehand. I'm like, hey, we got 10 minutes. And then about 10 minutes from then, she's like, okay, I'm going to go get ready.
I will not confirm nor deny the accusations being made.
The accusations. That's how it works. But we're here. We're glad to be here. This young lady was not feeling good at all yesterday. We had to cancel plans and whatever, but you woke up this morning and feel much better.
Yes. Yeah. And after my coffee this morning, I'm feeling better. I kind of no bueno stomach stuff going on yesterday.
Yeah, and you think it's because of the meds you took? Yeah. So whenever she takes painkillers,
a couple days later, it's just like my whole digestion slows down. And that's what they do. Opioids, they slow everything down. Yeah. And I had very
killed Elvis.
Opioids. Yeah.
And
luckily
died from being constipated.
No way.
Well, that's part of it.
Well, that's part of what happened.
Apparently he was, I think, at least from what I've heard, there was an aspect of it that had to do with him having an aneurysm or something, trying to take a dump.
Shut up.
Something like that. Because of the opioids he was taking.
Wow.
Now, he wasn't taking them medicinally, obviously.
No, right. I'm lucky. I do not feel any addiction or any draw toward taking those more than necessary. And I try not to take them if I can handle just one dose. Like this time it was just one dose. It was one dose of opioid and one dose of NSAID, ibuprofen.
And the NSAIDs always mess you up.
They mess me up too. Yeah.
All right.
But we made it through another month. Another cycle.
We got some good news for ourselves. We have more keto brains coming in.
We do. We went through that quick.
We went through that really fast, and we're like, hey, can we order some more, please?
We love some keto brains.
Ridiculous, guys.
Cheers to keto brains.
Cheers to keto brains. And don't forget, if you stay on through the entirety of this video, we will do a drawing at the end, a random picking of names for people that engaged during the video. So if you have a question, a comment, or whatever else, please make sure that you post something so that we can see your name, and we'll keep you on the list of names to choose from to win a bag of keto brains. You'll get in touch with us, send us your address, and we'll get you a bag sent to you.
Yummy, yummy.
We really appreciate Keto Brains for being supportive of the show and that kind of stuff. We are on episode, did you see what number the episode is?
I can only imagine. It must be 69.
We are on episode 16. If I fell asleep, yes, if you fall asleep, you are disqualified.
You must stay awake.
You can fall asleep, just wake up before we do the drawing and you're good. Okay, that's a great question. That question qualifies. Technically, it's a question, right? He engaged in the talk.
Qualified.
Why have you been up all night?
Partying for 4th of July weekend? Is that what's going on?
Okay. Brenda noticed the number. Great number. Fantastic number. What are we talking about today? So today we were kind of thinking, as we do during the week and the day before, a couple of days before we do these episodes, we're like, what are we going to talk about? Oh my God, there's nothing pressing, super crazy. And we're like, we should talk about something fitness related. A lot of the stuff we've talked about lately has been nutrition and or mindset related. So we haven't done a bunch of fitness stuff lately. Mm-hmm. And I think you mentioned it on last week's video. You mentioned mobility, you mentioned something, and I don't remember what it was, but it kind of stuck with me. I was like, hey, let's talk a little bit about that. But then we realized there's some other things we could talk about too, right? Some things that we can do, some things that you can do, some things that we learned that we use to help people get the most out of their exercise, get the most out of their workouts.
Yes.
There's a lot of people who are doing a lot of hard work, But when we talk about quality over quantity, I think a lot of times we don't know how to define quality.
Yes. Yes.
Right? What are we talking about when we say do quality work?
There's a pervasive thought out there that more is better. If a little bit is good, more is better. And that you always need to be adding more. And what is one of the things both of us always experience with new clients? When they come in,
there's a lot of different things.
They start training, or they see their program for the first time. Oh, can I add exercises? Can I add days? Can I add workouts? This isn't enough for me. I'm not feeling it.
That's a big one. I'm not feeling it. And we'll talk about where some of that stuff comes from. And then maybe we can talk a little bit about newbie games. You know what? I saw something the other day, total sidetrack, just saying that mispronunciation. God, I've been seeing lately, and maybe it's a sign, ads on social media across all the platforms, which is interesting, not just one, for improving the quality of your speech.
Interesting.
Voice training.
Okay, so you did something on your algorithm.
I don't know what, though.
I've never seen anything.
I don't know
like
what.
that.
I had never searched on it. I mean, it just kind of randomly started popping up. And I'm wondering if the algorithm's like, hey, we're seeing you do a lot of these videos and you need to work on your speech.
That's funny.
So social media is telling me I need to learn how to speak better, I guess. I don't know. I just thought that was interesting.
Wow.
Okay, so the first thing,
over quantity.
yes, the first thing that came to my mind off of this mobility discussion is what? We'll get back to that.
I missed it.
The first thing that came to my mind in the mobility discussion is the misconception that many people have on what mobility is.
Yes.
So when we say mobility, many people use mobility interchangeably with flexibility.
Yes.
Or range of motion. Those are the two kinds of things where we talk about that. And I just want to be very clear. When we say, or another one is recovery. They say, I'm going to go do some mobility work. And what they're talking about is they're going to go foam roll, right? Or they're going to go do some lacrosse ball work. Or they're going to do something to work on helping their muscles recover from exercise.
Or vice versa. They think that recovery is mobility work.
Right.
And mobility work can be intense.
It can absolutely be intense.
And you're not going to be recovering. You're going to be creating more to
It
recover
may be
from.
less impactful. It may be less impact work. It may be less high intensity.
It may not make you sweat.
It may not make you sweat, but
It's
it will
another common misconception about what good quality work is. So we'll talk about what is quality work. What are, all the concepts of, how do you determine that you are doing good work?
Good, solid work, yeah.
Yeah.
So when we talk about mobility, here's the actual definition of mobility. Mobility is your ability to move in full range of motion under stress, right? Or another way to put it is your ability to manage weight and resistance, which is the movement of weight or the resistance of weight trying to move you in full range of motion. Okay? So it's a combination of strength.
Perfect comment.
And flexibility. What's that?
Listening in from the sauna in a resting deep squat. Hopefully I can get back up. That's a perfect example.
That's awesome. Yes.
Like, it's not about can you hold a position.
Right.
It is. Some
is.
of it can be holding the position, right? But if you're in a resting stretch, that's not necessarily mobility, right? So one of the things we did a lot of in dance, I grew up dancing, was these deep stretches. We would hold these deep stretches. And sometimes it would be under tension, in which case it would be mobility work. A lot of the time it was not under tension. It was the opposite of tension. Right. It was allowing gravity we did the legs up the wall stretch. And it would just be allowing gravity to do its work to increase our flexibility, but it did not improve mobility.
Right.
So the being able to get down into and back out of a
But
deep
what
squat
did work-
or hold a deep squat at tension in the bottom.
Right. But what did work on the additional part of the strength and position would be when you're doing a leg standing, leg up, right? You're holding that leg in that
Extension.
stretch, but
Yeah.
you're holding it in
But you're
position
holding it, yes.
using the musculature, right?
Now it's under tension.
The difference between something else pushing that range of motion and you holding the weight of your leg in that position.
Yes.
The combination of those two. Right?
So the partner stretches where somebody else is manipulating your flexibility and you're not controlling that is not mobility.
Yeah.
It's flexibility.
Something to think about too, and I don't know if a lot of people know this, but flexibility is not, you guys ready for this one? Flexibility is not a limitation of your,
I know what you're going to say.
of your muscle, tendons, or ligaments ability to stretch. It's all up here.
CNS.
Did you know that you can be tight? Like you can't bend down and touch your toes. Let's say you're super tight. Your back is tight, your lats are tight, your butt and hamstrings and calves are super tight, and you cannot bend down and touch your toes. If I put you under general anesthesia, I could wrap you in a pretzel.
Now
Because
your body
your
is capable of doing
brain is
things.
responsible for managing your flexibility. So there are sensory organs in your body, all throughout your body, that restrict your body's ability to get in different range of motion because it's not been trained that that range of motion is safe. You have to train your central nervous system that this range of motion is okay and I'm not going to hurt myself. And how do we do that? We do that by practicing getting in that range of motion. So flexibility and stretching is good. The best way to do that is, are you ready for this? Work in the biggest range of motion you can while you are doing your resistance training. Because not only are you training your body and training your central nervous system that the range of motion is okay, but you're also demonstrating that you can do it under stress, under a load, under tension resistance, right? So when you are lifting weights is the best time to work on your range of motion.
Any exercise that you're doing under, because these exercises that build your strength are under tension or under load. Any exercise can then be a mobility exercise.
There's two things that you're always working on, okay? You're always working on mobility and you're always working on core strength.
Ooh, yes.
Every workout is an ab workout.
You don't need
Okay,
a
you don't
million
need
crunches.
8 million different abs. You don't need to do abs every day. If you are actually doing, now, the only caveat to that is, if you are only doing machine training, then it's very likely you would probably want to supplement with some specific core work.
Although I will say, do not make the mistake of allowing yourself to rest in a machine.
Correct.
Just because you're using a machine.
Right.
You need to be engaging everything the same way you would with free weights if you're using a machine.
Yes.
If not, you are not doing quality work.
Right. And that's another aspect we can talk. Let's talk about core stuff next.
Yeah.
Okay. So when we talk about mobility, flexibility is an important part of it. Strength and range of motion is the other part of it. Why is this beneficial? Number one, when you do your resistance training in as much of a full range as possible, you get more volume in the muscle fibers that you are actually activating and work. So if you were trying to improve your strength, you get stronger across a broader spectrum of positioning. So I can be strong when I'm extended, I can be strong when I'm contracted, right? That means you're building more muscle, you're activating more muscle, you're creating more stimulus, you're getting more impact for every rep that you do. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense, guys. Right? So I have to use and I don't know if this is, I have a video on my YouTube channel. It's an old video. I'll have to see if I can find it, where I use resistance bands to talk about how range of motion helps build strength and muscle.
Ooh.
And basically what I do in the video is I take super thick ones resistance bands and then all the skinny ones. I put them on a thing, right?
Okay.
And when you pull on those, like think about rubber bands, right? When you pull on a thick rubber band, you can only get so far. So if you think of muscle fibers as a bundle of thick and thin, if I'm only pulling so far, then the thinner, smaller fibers are never activated.
Ooh.
Because I'm only pulling
really
as much as possible.
Example.
I'm only
Yeah.
doing one type of range of motion.
Yep.
The further you pull, the more of those additional muscle fibers you get to activate.
Yes.
Right. So the better the range of motion,
I love that.
the stronger you're going to be.
It's a really good visual.
It also helps you prevent injury, which is another reason why mobility is great. Any hypermobile people out there?
Oh my gosh, I have a bunch of clients.
Right? The best thing you can do for when you're hypermobile is to try and build up load resistance in the extreme ranges of motion. Right?
Wow.
It's really hard to get out here without your elbow doing all of this stuff, right? So practice getting to that point and stopping. Build that strength in the position where you want to limit and then work on
that is
coming back in.
Such a great tip. I'm going to tell all my ladies to watch this later if they're not on live. Because
so you have to train your body where the limit is under resistance.
Yes.
And that build takes, that, right? It takes practice.
And that takes a lot of focus and concentration on the work you're doing. Yes. Because if you're just going through the motions, those joints are going to pop out of place. You're going to be in the overextended range.
Yep.
You're not going to learn how to control it.
Yeah, I see a lot of people who are hypermobile who are being told don't lift weights.
Right.
That is the last thing you want to do.
Or to stay in the shortened position because they're told to avoid trying to find that point.
And that's the shortened position is better than no position, but it's very likely if there is a little bit more extension you can get.
And you're
just
developing what we're talking about.
Where that is, right?
The CNS, so your central nervous system, you start to teach your brain, where is that point?
Right.
Yep.
Where is that point? And that is where we get into what we talk about into the term of proprioception and feeling what is going on in your body.
Yes, EDS. That's really great for EDS. Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. Yes.
Okay. I told my rheumatologist, don't lift what? I told my rheumatologist, don't lift weights.
Don't lift weights wrong.
Oh, don't lift weights wrong. Technique is everything correct.
You just don't do it wrong.
Okay, I'm curious. What do the numbers mean?
Numbers?
Those things.
Oh,
does that mean they're the first people that came on?
They're
all right.
fans.
I've never seen this before, guys, but I want to call
out
Dustin, Juliana, and Brenda for being our top 3 fans. That's cool. I've never seen that before.
And Karen's number 4. She's right under there. She's coming for you.
That's awesome.
That's pretty cool.
Okay.
Aww,
sweet.
Fun.
I don't know how that works. I got to figure that out.
I don't either.
Oh, there's it. It's top fans. Okay.
Top fans.
Maybe Dustin can give me a little education on what that's all about. I'm sure he probably does it more than I do. Okay,
proprioception. So quick
proprioception,
note
yes.
on proprioception. I did a whole masterclass on this, I think last year. So check out my YouTube channel at Keto Bikini Secrets and look for I think it was you just totally screwed me by pointing that out.
Juliana did. That wasn't me. That was Juliana.
I'm not reading that comment.
Well, it's just funny because I said something specifically about that. Juliana, it's like you're reading my mind. You think we should do that?
Oh, God.
She said I wouldn't ask.
The people on Instagram have no idea what's happening right now. It was a YouTube comment, y'all. You don't want to know.
We were thinking about maybe starting a new channel.
I was trying to remember what I named that masterclass because I didn't call it proprioception. I may have changed the name after the fact, but it was about the secret to better results from your training, I think. So,
which is that's what this one is basically titled to, right? Yeah.
I was talking about the missing link.
Proprioception is your ability to feel and control, which is a piece a lot of people don't talk about with proprioception, what is going on in your body.
So it's the understanding or awareness of where your body is in space.
right? So
feeling, it's body awareness.
Right. So think about it this way. If I close my eyes and I put my arm in the air, I know without looking that my arm is straight up in the air. I don't have to look to know that. If I put it in front of me, I can feel it's in front of me. If it's to the side, I can feel it's to the side, right? So that the ability to feel what's going on in your body. We want to get that to a point where we can feel that in the individual muscles that we're working, right? I can feel when I do a curl, the only place that I want that tension, that feeling of work is to be in my bicep. I don't want to feel it in my shoulder. I don't want to feel it in my traps. I don't want to feel it in my back. I don't want my neck to get tight, right? So understanding and being able to feel specifically where you are working. Now, here's where the magic happens. You have to understand what you're trying to work.
Okay, this is where I was about to go when I got like the gasp. So for personal trainers.
Gas?
Gasp.
Oh, gasp. Okay, sorry.
Oh my goodness, it's a wonder I can ever remember what I'm about to say.
Go ahead.
So for those everybody struggles with this when they get started with training. And this is where personal trainers come in handy, but also can become a crutch if you are not focused on developing this skill for yourself. And this is because personal trainers are watching you the way that you're moving. And this is in virtual training when we're asking our clients to send us videos.
If you have a program or a coach who is willing to look at your videos and give you feedback, don't waste that opportunity, guys. Send all the videos. Oh, but I don't want other people to see what I look like when I work out. They all look the same.
And that's the point.
That's the point, because when you get feedback on your video that's posted in a community forum, that means everyone else is getting that feedback too.
As well.
Right?
Exactly.
Engage in the program by putting your videos out there. Nobody is judging you. If you're in the gym in a public space doing the exercise, then you're just extending that gym to the community of people that you already trust who are on the same journey as you.
These are the people. These are your people.
So do not use the excuse of I'm afraid to show my videos to other people as a reason to limit your potential for improvement by getting feedback from your coach.
And that's a whole other topic we could go into, but that's the point of it. So if you have a lot of resistance to receiving constructive criticism,
that's another aspect, right? Yeah.
You need to address that, because you're not going to get anything out of coaching if you're not ready to receive feedback. So all that to say, the reason I did that masterclass is because I would, online, we are limited to sharing video demos and explaining as much as we can about how to properly execute movements. Mm-hmm. If you do not have proprioception, if you cannot watch a video and see how it's being done on the video and understand and be aware of whether or not you are doing what you're watching in that video, or you are doing something completely different than what you're seeing in that video, you will not improve. And so you have to be able to develop that awareness.
Yeah, and the
best way to do that is to take a video of yourself and compare your video to the video demo that you are watching. And that's essentially what a trainer is doing when they are right there with you live in person, or if it's a coach online watching your video. We are able to see, are you at the angle you need to be at? Is your body positioned the way it needs to be positioned for you to engage the muscles properly? And we're going to do everything we can to give you every cue that we can to feel that and understand that and become aware of that yourself.
Yeah. And that's, guys, step one. Let's just take it back. Let's say you don't want to put your videos out there and you decide I'm not going to put my videos out there. The minimum that you should be doing is recording yourself and comparing it to the video that's in the
watching it yourself and saying,
whatever the demo video is, just look at the video.
If I could not put my video
am I
on
doing
top of
the
that
same
one
thing, right?
And
we see it all
in
the time.
Same way, then something's off here.
Right. We see it all the time. There's a demo video, and then there's a video of somebody doing the exercise, and they don't look
at all the same.
Anything alike. And you wonder, like, did the person even look at their own video? And that's the first step, guys. Look at your own videos.
Yep.
And then if you're not sure, you may see something and you say, hey, I'm seeing this. I don't think it quite looks, but I don't. Now here's where the coaching comes in. I see that it's not the same. I see that my back angle is here, but I don't know how to fix it. That's when you post it and you ask the question.
Yep.
Hey, I'm watching this video. And because what we get a lot of times when people do post their videos is, here's my video, what do you think?
Right.
They haven't done any evaluation of their own to see, what do I think I need to work on?
Yes.
That's where the ownership of this whole process comes into play.
Let me just say, my favorite form check videos are when you drop your video and you say, I was feeling it here instead of the muscle I was supposed to be targeting, because you read the program. I have a whole spreadsheet that I put out. I'm putting it out today for our new program that has in-depth tutorial videos. It has a column that tells you which muscle should be the main mover, the main activator, and supporting muscles. In our app, there's more about which muscle should be moving. So you're doing the exercise, you're thinking, okay, I know this is supposed to be a back exercise, but I'm feeling this in my shoulders. And then you post your video and you say, I'm feeling this in my shoulders instead of my back. I notice that I'm doing this and I should be doing that. What cues or how can I fix that? Yep. That is like amazing, because that is the awareness we're talking about.
Yes.
At the very minimum, I want to see you list what exercise you're doing. Sometimes I get form check videos where it's just the video. And I have to go back into the program
like, what
and say,
exercise is she trying to do?
Because it's so off sometimes that I'm like,
can't tell exactly.
Are you doing this exercise or are you attempting to do this exercise? Because it could be a couple different exercises. So I want you to at least be aware, what exercise am I trying to execute here?
Yeah. There's a little bit of what we're talking about, small segue. And this is a point to everyone. If you're in a program, if you have a coach, there's a little etiquette involved in asking for help. Okay? What are you trying to do? What did you do? What were you expecting? So enough information so that we can look at it and go, okay, we have something to actually evaluate and look at and give you feedback on that's constructive, without having to go back to you and ask
5 more questions.
8 more questions about what it is you're actually asking.
Yes.
Okay? That's another piece.
And this goes for people in groups too, like in Facebook groups, here on YouTube, when you're asking, even if you're asking us questions here on the live, like giving a little bit of context to where we can actually help.
And what this means, okay, this is the thing that's a challenge for some people. Ask the question to the answer you want to receive. Don't beat around the bush. It's not a hypothetical, right? Yeah. If you have a question about something, be as direct as possible with what that question is. What do I want to figure out? A lot of times people will get on and they may be embarrassed or whatever it is. They don't want to, for some reason, I've never really understood. They don't want to ask the actual question, and they ask some other question that's tied to this.
And we have to try to get to the real
what
question.
Are they actually looking for?
Yes.
Right? Just ask the question.
Yes.
There's no judgment. Just ask the question.
I love that.
Okay.
I love that. So Fit and Fab Celeb, shout out. She said, I love this comment. I do mine mostly immediately. I record and check the video during my rest period and note corrections to make if needed.
I like that.
Now that is a pro tip right there. This woman is working on competing. She's on a prep. And I can see you have an athlete mentality, because that is the way to think about it. If I can immediately course correct, and improve right here in my workout, amazing. Even better.
Yes.
Let me read Juliana's comment just to remember it for later. Yes, great.
Yeah. Okay. Let's talk about number.
No 50 questions.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay, so we talked about range of motion, mobility, what mobility actually is. We talked about proprioception. Let's talk about core. Okay. A reminder.
How about core versus abs?
Well, that's what I was just going to say. A reminder that core work is not the same as ab work. Okay.
I see the lines exploding.
Your core is everything from your armpits to your butt.
I love that.
360. It's your front,
All
back,
the
and
way
sides.
around, yep.
Right? So
All
your
of you with back
obliques,
pain,
your butt cheeks are part of your
especially
core.
those with lower back pain.
Your butt cheeks are part of your core. Okay? So if you want to work on your core, go do some deadlifts.
Ooh. Oh my God, one of the best core exercises out
Seriously,
there.
guys. Seriously, one of the
Honestly,
best. It's
squats,
fantastic.
deads,
Okay?
overhead press, all the major
If you want to
compound
work,
lifts.
well, even better. I would say that if you want a compound lift that's really focused on core, do front squats.
Oh, killer.
Right?
Killer.
Your whole torso is going to be lit up, right? Because with front squats, the weight is pulling you down like this. You have
to stay upright.
to keep up while you're going through it, right? It forces you to maintain that upright position, right? It's great for posture. It's great for abs. It's great for back. It's great for all the things.
Talk about the best thing to improve your mobility would be improving your core strength and stability.
Okay, you're getting into a whole nother level now. So now do we want to talk about kinetic chain and the whole
Sure.
the whole thing, power development and everything else? Okay, we'll talk about that. We'll get into that in a second, maybe. Because that's a whole nother. I haven't talked about that in a long time. I get excited about that stuff.
Such a geek, I know.
That's fun stuff.
Athletic performance geek.
Okay, so when we talk about core,
quick foundational thing.
Yes.
Improve your core strength and stability. You will improve everything else.
Oh, 100%.
Absolutely.
And we'll talk about that that's where the kinetic chain stuff comes into play. Okay. When we talk about your core being more than just your abs, understand that your core is a collection of muscles that does two things: protects your spine and establishes a foundation to develop power and strength. Okay? You've heard the phrase, power comes from your hips, right? That is
lift with
core.
your legs.
That is core, right? So when we talk about, first off, let's talk about protecting your spine. There's two ways to protect your spine. Number one, spinal mobility, the ability to move your spine in whatever range of motion it needs to move under stress without hurting it. Okay? That is what your core allows. Your spine, and I'm going to see if I can do this somehow, because I have another video of this as well. But if we think of our spine, this is my spine. Okay? This is, if my body, right, is around this spine, the spine is on the back side of my body. So if you think of it like a pillar, there's only one side that's supported by bone structure. The other side, think about under your rib cage. What's under your rib cage? Space. Your rib cage to pelvis, there's nothing holding that up, right? So your core is basically like wrapping that goes around your whole body to help manage and maintain your spinal position in whatever direction you want it to go. So a lot of times when someone has low back pain, it's because their abs are weak, right? If someone has upper back pain, sometimes it's because their butt is weak, right? So there's a lot of different combinations of different dysfunctions that cause pain and discomfort or weakness in other areas, all related to your core. Yeah. Okay, so it's really hard to talk about without actually having a drawing or a graphic, but the idea that you can improve your ability to move around your house, your life, your environment, play with your kids, play with your dog, go for a walk, do all those different things. You can improve that just by working on your core strength. And we're talking about moving in rotation, moving in flexion and extension, and we're also talking about resisting flexion and extension, resisting the rotation.
Yes,
okay? So being able to stay in a position when something is trying to twist you.
Isometric holds.
Right? Pal-off presses are fantastic.
Yeah.
Right?
Ooh, being able to do way into my program.
Being able to do things like, I don't know if you've ever seen me do kettlebell drags, right? Where you're on all fours and you're and you pull that kettlebell, you put it in front of you, then you crawl up and you pull the kettlebell and you put it in front of you and you crawl up. That is moving your whole body without allowing your torso to twist and morph with it, right?
Yep. Even
leopard crawls, there's a whole bunch of
rows.
stuff. Renegade rows are fantastic. So burpees are fantastic for that. There's a whole, guys, the mechanics of core activation in a burpee is so freaking amazing.
Well, and that's what most people don't have any concept of that, right? They just flop around doing burpees.
Exactly. Oh man, that's another one that I haven't done in a while. I have not done a burpee video in a long time. But the mechanics of how awesome a burpee is for you is, God, there's so much to it. Don't make that face.
Yuck.
Burpees are awesome. I love burpees. Okay. All right. Well, the other piece, power development. So why is core super important? Why should every exercise be a core exercise? Because, you gotta sneeze?
It's gone.
Because everything from a strength perspective starts in your core. Okay, we talk about it, go Google kinetic chain, okay? The idea that when we generate power, the power starts in the center of our body and then moves to the outer limits. It moves from the middle to the extreme. So if I want to generate throwing power, I start with my hips, and the movement starts in my hips, and then it goes through my torso, into my shoulder, into my arm, and then it releases the ball. So the more control and strength I have in my core, the less power is lost by the time it gets to my arm. So if I want to throw harder and faster, I have to have a stronger core. It's not bigger biceps, it's not a stronger arm. There are 15-year-old kids who couldn't bench or curl or do half the weight that I can do, who can throw a ball faster than me, because they have the technique and the core strength to allow that power development and transfer into the ball better than I do. Okay, so that goes for anything that you're doing that's pushing or throwing or pulling or jumping, right? Anything where you're trying to generate power and force from your body starts in your core.
And that includes
squatting, deadlifting, everything.
What's the term I'm looking for? Is like coming out of the hole on a squat.
Right.
Right? Like, so you're in your deep squat. That comment earlier about the sauna, right? Being able to get out of it. Creating that power output to get up out of that squat powerfully.
That's why, if you've ever heard the term, bracing is so important.
Ooh, let's talk about that a little bit.
You have more power when you brace the core and you engage and tighten and connect. So basically, here's what bracing does. Bracing, when you do it properly, when you develop that proprioception, if you think of compression, okay, you have a bunch of things together that are loose, right? Let's say I have a bag full of sand. If the bag is just sitting on the table and it's open, it's not tied, it's, whatever, the sand is there, I can poke it and, it does whatever. But the minute I grab that bag and I pull it tight, I squeeze all the air out and I get it super tight, now it's really hard. It's almost, I could knock somebody out with that bag of sand because it's almost as hard as a rock now, right? That's what we're doing with our core. When we brace, our muscles and everything is loose. It's not pulled together and tight and connected. So what we're trying to do is we squeeze everything together. We're connecting it. The more connected the tissue is, the more strength and power is transferred through it, right? This is why, here's another analogy, sound travels through solid matter better than it does through the air. Right? I can hear things when I put my ear up against it that if I took my ear away, I probably wouldn't hear. Right? Because solid matter is connected, so the vibrations travel through it better.
Look at you.
Right? That's the exact same principle of power transfer in the body.
Pretty cool.
Right?
Yeah. Look at you with all your analogies.
I'm a nerd.
Nerdy nerd.
Nerdy nerd. So those are three big things to work on. Well, three or four. I forget. We did, just a real quick recap. We did mobility. What is mobility? Proprioception. Everything should be a core workout, and then what bracing is and what it's important.
So we should talk more about other things that make your workouts quality versus quantity. Because all of those things,
you need to work on all those things, and you'll get a better workout.
Are a part of quality.
We also talked about look at your videos.
Yes.
That will help your quality. That will help your quality, right? Yeah.
So, okay, so how to judge. Let's talk about how to judge the quality of your workouts. Ooh. And then we can go to the questions because we got some questions hanging out in there. All right, so first things first, some ways that are not really good ways of determining a good workout. How much you sweat, how many calories you burn, how wrecked your body feels afterwards, how sore you are.
No pain, no gain.
Immediately or the dogs later. What else? How much work you did in terms of total volume. Oh, I did so many exercises.
That's a big one because we get people, like you said at the beginning, all the time trying to add, well, what if I add this? What if I add this? What if I add this?
Yep.
More is not better.
So.
Unless it's recovery.
So if it's not sweat, being out of breath, burning calories, being exhausted and sore, and doing a whole bunch of stuff, how do we determine quality of training?
Start with why.
Ooh, so weird that you would say that.
Just
you
like
have any of his books, and you know how important this is to him.
Just like when we talk about our journey, or we talk about nutrition, or we talk about any of the decisions that we're making to improve our health and fitness, every workout has an objective. If you don't understand the reason for the exercise or the reason for the format of the workout, then you are not going to know how to gauge if it was quality work or not.
So go into the workout with purpose.
Right? So understanding this workout routine is high rep, high volume, lower weight. So I'm not going to necessarily gauge my performance of this workout by how heavy I go.
Or getting a PR.
Right? I'm going to evaluate the quality of this workout by what is the stimulus I'm supposed to be hitting. The instructions, the description of the workout says this should be about 70% effort at this percentage of weight, or whatever the instructions of the workout are. Then you should try to gauge how close to that feeling am I?
And I always
this is the thing, regardless of whether I feel wrecked or tired or not, there are workouts that you will not feel like you got a good workout.
Based on those,
right? Based on I don't feel like I got super tired, but if you did the workout the way it was prescribed, you're going to have DOMS tomorrow. You're going to feel sore. You're going to, whatever it may be in the next couple of days as the response to that work.
Yeah, it's not always an immediate
It's not always an immediate thing. So the first goal I would say is, did I get a quality workout, would be, did I work within the objective that was put for that workout? That's got to be first question.
And my objective too. So this is what I was going to throw in. So I talk about intuitive training, and this is one of the things we encourage in the academy with our programs. The program may be written a certain way, but if you are experiencing, you didn't sleep last night, or like Dustin, right? Or ladies, it's a certain time of the cycle, and you just don't have the kind of energy you can give to hitting a PR today, and that was your goal, or the focus of the training is to improve, to get progressive overload. And maybe today's not going to be a progressive overload day for you. You can just feel it. And so the purpose of your particular workout today may be a little different than the purpose of the general program. So today I'm going in to move my body, to get the blood flowing, to feel a pump, to go lighter than I normally would, but to feel energized at the end of my workout rather than feeling exceptionally exhausted or whatever it might be. So taking the overall purpose and then also allowing yourself some flexibility within that.
Understanding the context of where you are for the day.
Yep.
And this is where we talk about, sometimes there's this is a really good thing that I think a lot of people don't use it for. But your warm-up period, when you're getting started with your workout for the day, is where you should be gauging, where am I at today?
Yes, because body and brain are two different things.
Right.
Like
so
we talked about.
As you're going through the warm-up, there are times where you'll go in and you'll pick up a 5-pound dumbbell and be like, oh my God, today is going to suck.
Yep.
Right. And then you know right off the bat, hey, maybe I might not be going full into the objective of the workout today, and I might just be showing up to do it and maintain the habit.
And there are other times where I have felt mentally exhausted. I thought it was physical exhaustion. And I'm like, you know what? I just need to move my body in some way. So I'm going to go to the gym and get started and see how it feels. And I crush it.
This happened last week.
And then I'm like, oh my gosh, my body actually wants to do work today. That was a mind thing.
Yeah. There was a time last week where my workout was set as a 7-minute high intense, get in there, crush some burpees and some other stuff. And I walked in the gym and I was like, today is a 45-minute treadmill day.
You're like, we ain't
doing all that today. We're just going to go up there. We're going to walk for a little bit because that's just how I was feeling from the day. So just be flexible, but do something, right? So, yeah.
Love it. Love it. Okay. Other things about quality. Let's see. So the less is more concept, right? Quality work, you don't need to keep adding more and more to it. If you're doing quality work with less, you will get better recovery and proper recovery. So one of the tips, somebody brought this up the other day because her shoulders were looking amazing. Shout out to Dawn in my group. Her shoulders were looking amazing. She went to the pool and posted a picture. And I was like, girlfriend, yes. And she was like, ever since you told me not to do extra back work and you told me it was okay to do more shoulder work, I got into the shoulder work and look what's happening, right? And I gave her that tip because shoulders being a smaller muscle group, and particularly if you're not a person who struggles with impingements and injuries that you have to work around with your shoulders, you can do more shoulder volume. You could do shoulders 3 times a week and be able to recover from it quickly. Back work generally is going to require more recovery time. So I was pushing her not to add another day of focused back work, but said she could add some shoulder work on the 3rd day of that week, of that upper body training. And so that's an example of, it's not always about adding more, even if there's a particular body part, because in bodybuilding, we do a lot of, focused physique work on, okay, you need to build up or bring up a certain body part. It doesn't always mean more. When you're doing quality, let's say you're training your back twice a week or even once a week, and you're getting really good quality work in there, you're going to need time for your body to recover from that. Those back muscles, those bigger muscles like back are going to require more recovery. Same reason why you don't want to be doing these squats 4 times a week.
Yeah, the bigger the muscle, the longer the recovery. I was going to say something and now I can't remember what it was.
I was talking about shoulder impingements, maybe.
Poof. No, it was before that. Poof, it's gone.
It'll come back if it was that important.
It's gone.
About quality
what else
work?
We got? Yeah, something about,
that did it.
The process of determining if you're doing quality work is also something that isn't, it's a process of trial and error that's going to take you time to figure out. So don't get frustrated after the first week if you're like, I don't feel like I'm getting the best. It's okay. So there's a couple things to evaluate, and one of them is how well you're recovering. If you're working and you have a mindset of more is better, and then you're also feeling like you're run down and beat up all the time, that's the number one way you're going to know, maybe I need to cut back and focus on the quality and not worry about trying to kill myself every workout. Okay. So you want to find a balance between how hard can I go compared to how well do I recover. And then when you find that balance, that's a good sign that you're getting better at determining how to get quality in your workouts.
I love that piece. And I should mention this. Karen commented and it reminded me of something I've been wanting to say to you, Karen. This is the perfect opportunity to do it. man, she got some incredible newbie gains. She was super consistent. She started in my build program a couple of years ago. And recently she was talking about not being able to go as heavy and not getting the PRs. Like she was so used to always getting PRs and always doing progressive overload, and now she's not getting it anymore. I want to make this comment for any newbies who've been lifting for 6 months, 3 months, a year, even 2 years. You're still a newbie. And what will happen in your first 3, 4, 6 months to a year,
couple of years,
maybe
depends,
a couple
yeah.
of years, is you're going to be getting a lot of progress and improvements consistently. Do not get discouraged when that stops happening, because when that stops happening to where now every workout you're not able to get progressive overload every single time anymore, it just means you've now reached the point where your central nervous system has caught up to your muscles. And now they're kind of hanging out together a little bit more. What do I mean by that? The first year or two of training consistently, you are adapting your central nervous system. A lot of those adaptations in terms of improvements in strength, it's central nervous system getting on board with, oh, this is what we're capable of. Once you're getting to be a trained individual, so you're now kind of moving into that second tier of,
You're no longer a novice, you're becoming intermediate.
yes, this is where it's going to be muscular adaptations, true muscular adaptations in strength, to where your muscles are getting stronger and it's not just CNS driven. So when that happens, it doesn't happen as frequently. It doesn't happen as consistently. So you're not going to be getting PRs and hitting progressive overload every time. It's going to take time in between. And then those PRs are going to be harder to come by.
That's where recovery is even more important.
Yes.
Yeah, for sure.
It's a great opportunity to talk about that.
Okay. What, recovery?
Well, about assessing your progress.
Right.
What is progress? It looks different the longer you've been training.
Yes. And just like with your weight or with your nutrition or with whatever body composition goals you have, or the things that we're looking at where we say, oh my God, I'm stuck, right? I'm plateaued. I'm not making any progress. There are, 206 bones in the body, hundreds of muscles, right? Thousands of ways that we can move our body, in combination with all of the different things that go into fitness. Right? There's 10 components of fitness. There's 7 essential movements, and there are 3 metabolic pathways. So there are 30 individual components when we talk about fitness that you can improve on. In combination, there's
infinite
millions of combinations of those 30 things that you can apply to improving your health and fitness. Okay, so you can never stall when it comes to your fitness. There is always a way you can improve some aspect of your fitness. Okay, maybe you're not getting stronger, but can you improve your coordination and balance?
Your stamina,
maybe you're not
endurance.
Getting more flexible, but your stamina endurance is getting better. Maybe you're not getting faster, but you can go for longer walks than you used to be able to do. Right? There's so many different combinations of how this stuff works. You will never plateau. You're looking at all those things. If you're just looking at one thing,
yes,
then you're going to get because that one thing isn't getting better.
But
there's
also,
a lot of different things.
There's the concept, just like in fat loss, for example, plateaus are part of the process. If you're plateaued in a better place than where you were before, that's an improvement.
Yes.
Because you need to be able to sustain at a particular place before you can move to the next place.
Right.
It's not always going to be movement forward.
I like how you said that. We need to stop looking at numbers that aren't moving as a bad thing. Sometimes, just like with money, right? How many people win the lottery and then they're bankrupt 5 years later? Ooh. They haven't done the work to be able to handle the money that they get.
Yep.
So part of this process of self-improvement and improving your health and fitness is being able to sustain the improvements that you make. So I have this in my book. Is it InBody Confident that I put this in? I think it is InBody Confident I put this in. It's a good thing that your journey is not in a straight line, because if it was, you wouldn't be ready for it when you got there.
Ooh, say that again.
Okay? It has to be up and down. It has to prepare you to manage the success when you get the success.
Wow, that's it. That is
If
so
it was
powerful.
just I'm deciding to get in shape, and then all of a sudden tomorrow I wake up and I'm in shape, the next day you're going to be out of shape again.
And a perfect example is the yo-yo dieting.
Yeah.
Whenever you get there quick and linear, you don't hold on to it.
Yeah. We are not built to go from point A to point B without a whole bunch of stuff in the middle.
And I'll add one more thing to the fitness discussion. We don't have to make it a long thing, but Karen mentioned, she was concerned because she started to see her strength going down, actually not plateauing, but like going down. And this is a good sign that you need a deload. So a lot of the time with newbies, you're constantly progressing, you love it, right? It really motivates you to see that progress and you want to keep going. And for a lot of my ladies who are super duper consistent, which is amazing, they have never taken a deload.
Yeah.
And I don't program those in at particular times, like some programs do, because I really want you to be more intuitive with this and take a deload when you need it. Mm-hmm. So I do teach about that inside the academy, and on my master classes, I did a deload master class all about this. But deloading essentially means you're actually pulling back on the load, or you're pulling back on the volume, or there's lots of different, like he was saying, there's lots of different levers you can pull to reduce the amount of work you're doing in one way, shape, or form.
Or to improve how your body recovers from the work you are doing.
Or take a break entirely, right. Yeah. Get more recovery by either training less frequently, or take a week off, or train a little differently, do some cross training, do something totally different. So there's lots of different ways you can deload, but those kinds of things, when you start seeing this decrease in your performance, if it's not acute, right? So there can be acute, that's the other thing. There can be acute changes.
You're acute.
Because once again, maybe your sleep is suffering. Maybe you've got emotional trauma going on. Karen's been through some things in this last year, right? When you have big things happening in your life that are causing emotional stress that can live in your body, that can reside in your body and make it more difficult. Ladies who are cycling, or even not cycling, because menopause can do these things as well. So there's so many other factors to consider as well, that nutrition and lifestyle factors that also could be playing in. So we don't want to make a decision like, oh my God, I need to take this break, or I'm no longer progressing based on a day or two.
Yeah.
Right, a bad day, or even a bad week. But if it continues, then it's okay. I need to take a break. Maybe I need to rest more. I need to get more recovery.
And this is what I'm focusing on. So I wasn't sure if I was ever going to mention this out loud, but I recently took on a client, which I haven't done in a while. And in the focus and change that I'm making, my direction is now more working with athletes or people who are athletic and competitive, who are trying to maintain that or transition to a ketogenic diet for health improvement reasons, or have been doing this for a while. Maybe they're in their 30s, 40s, 50s, and 60s and wondering, like, I feel like I'm falling apart. I don't want to do my sport, but I need to figure out a better way to do this, right? I want to make it sustainable as I get older. And this current client, that's one of the things that we're working through. It's very much overtraining. And I see this, it's crazy. All the flack that CrossFit gets for injury and everything else, I don't see nearly the problems with overtraining and overuse injuries in CrossFit that I do in endurance athletes.
Oh, endurance for sure.
100%. And runners particularly have so many things that are wrong with them from the years of running.
Triathletes and
so this guy, he's a runner. He's doing trail running right now. But it's going to take months, and we're just working through how do we figure out how much to reduce his training load, how to improve his nutrition, how to focus on things like sleep and general stress and whatever else to try to get his body to a point where he can perform to a normal level where he was before he started transitioning, right? He started transitioning to carnivore and feels like everything just went to crap. And it's it's not the carnivore diet that's making your stuff go to crap. It's the fact that you're training 6 days a week and you're getting 15,000 steps in a day on your job, and you're doing all these other types of things, right? So That's a huge piece of this whole puzzle.
Another whole conversation we could have about diet isn't everything.
Diet is not everything. All right.
Okay.
Couple questions.
Lots of questions.
Bronson, I know you had IBS for years. Do you have any problems with eliminating waste now? I am still very constipated, eating eggs, butter, sardines, beef, lamb, avocado, unless I add chia seeds.
Oh.
Okay.
Chia seeds is going to make it worse.
Okay.
Over time.
I would say, I don't know what your hydration is. Are you getting enough water and electrolytes? I would, number one, make it a habit to never drink water. Always drink water that's got some kind of, at least sodium, if not combined electrolyte, sodium, potassium, magnesium. Potentially supplement with magnesium a little bit more, right? Try to get that 300 to 400 milligrams a day. Speaking from experience, that will help if you're having any problems. But that's probably the two biggest things.
So,
make sure you're hydrated.
3 things I always point out: the hydration, movement. So how much activity, daily activity, are you getting outside of your exercise? And what's the third one that I always say? Oh, fats. Liquid
right,
fats.
that's what I was going to say.
Fats. So with the avocado, you're also getting fiber. So the fiber can bulk up the stool, make it a little bit harder to pass.
Makes it harder to pass, right?
But if you are going for like the rendered fats with your meats, from your meats, liquid fats.
So he adds a couple of things. Unless I had chia seeds, and he said, yes, 3 liters of water mixed with 2 packets of element. That's likely not enough.
You probably need more.
I recommend most people be in the 3 to 5 grams of sodium per day, which would be 3 to 5 packets of element. If you are active and training on a consistent basis, that's probably closer to the 5 grams. Now, not everybody needs that. Some people don't need a lot of sodium at all, and they seem to be fine. So play around with it. But if you're having an issue with constipation, hydration and sodium intake could very likely be part of the problem. So I would err on the side of adding more. If it fixes the problem, great. If it doesn't fix the problem and you feel like I'm just peeing all the time now and nothing's changed, then maybe that's not the problem. And that's another thing I want to talk about real quick too. If you are actually following a ketogenic diet and you are very low carb, I would rather you overconsume electrolytes because your body will get rid of them if it doesn't need it, than underconsume them and be stuck. Mm-hmm. Okay, so I would err on the side of more, because if you get more than you need, you're just going to pee more. Okay, I pee a couple extra times a day. I know I'm getting more than I need. I would rather deal with peeing a couple extra times a day than not being able to crap at all because I don't have enough sodium in my system, right? So it's something to think about there.
40,000 steps?
Vadim, is that really 40,000 steps?
Yikes. How are you just moving all day long?
Yeah. Is that because of your job or something like that? That's way too much if that's on purpose. If you're doing that on top of your daily activity.
I probably don't eat enough fats. Absolutely.
You probably don't eat enough fats. If you're
that probably should have been the first thing.
There's a whole bunch of other things. He's also had weight loss surgery.
But also, if you're eating a lot of protein and not eating enough fats with that protein, it's going to be
going to mess everything up.
Your digestion's not going to move.
Yeah.
Yep.
As far as your testosterone goes, you're 53. I'm 53. The biggest thing that I did, and I'll shout out to Jonathan Shane again, about a year and a half, it's been probably a year and a half. The last cruise.
He works in a hospital, so he's like moving all day.
Okay. Add 6 to 9 milligrams. Is it milligrams or grams? I forget. 6 to 9, I want to say milligrams of boron daily.
No, I bet it's MCGs.
Let me go see. Hold on. Take it.
I'm not sure, but
I don't remember I forget if it's.
You definitely don't want to be over consuming any kind of.
Yeah, it's
micro mineral.
Milligrams.
It is milligrams?
Yeah.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah. 6 to 9 milligrams per day.
Wow. That's a lot.
2 tablets. Yeah, I'm doing 3 tablets, so 9 milligrams. So I use this boron complex. It's a couple different forms of boron.
This is not medical advice.
This is just what I'm doing, and it made a huge difference in my numbers. It almost doubled my free testosterone after about 3 months. Yeah, so this works on your sex bonding globulin. I always say this backwards. Sex hormone binding globulin.
SHBG.
Reduces that, which allows your body to have more free testosterone. So doing that helps my free testosterone go.
Right, because if you're in the normal range for total testosterone, then the issue
is
your
the free. It's okay.
Okay. We had some fitness questions in
Let's
here.
see. I'm looking.
The salt chat.
I'm halfway through. Juliana says she's halfway through my audiobook for Body Confident. Hope you like it. I definitely, in the back of my mind, want to re-record that at some point in time, but we'll see how that goes.
The questions
squats. I thought you said shots. I don't see.
No, the questions are higher up. There were a bunch earlier. Christine had one. Up here somewhere. Natalie, do you have videos on these core exercises to show us how to do the exercise properly?
Yes, we both do.
So I do inside my programs, inside the academy. Bronson has a ton of exercise videos on his YouTube.
Yep.
So you can, and for anyone who doesn't know that on a desktop or on a laptop, if you open up YouTube and you go to a channel, you can actually search within that channel. So you can go to his channel and search for any exercise you want to see.
So Juliana says, join Coach Nat's program. It will solve all your troubles seriously. I want to correct that and say,
the program doesn't solve it.
Figure out what your troubles are and solve them for yourself.
Freaking love you for that.
That is.
He knows. We don't do the work. You do the work.
All right. Christine says, what's the best way to lose the last 20 pounds of fat as a ketovore? I've been lifting heavy weights and straight training for 20 years.
Oh boy.
For 2 years, not 20 years. Big difference.
Best way to lose the last 20 pounds of fat. So it's always going to come down to nutrition at the end of the day. Your workouts are not, your strength training is not what's helping you lose the last 20 pounds of fat. It's helping you build muscle, which over the long term is going to help you maintain and naturally shift your body composition in the long term. This is like
I want to say, the biggest thing that will help you is to switch the wording, switch the focus from losing the fat to changing your body composition, because you can have less of a body fat percentage by building more muscle, whether you didn't lose another pound of fat again at all.
Right.
So it's not necessarily fat loss, particularly if you're looking at, I want a thinner waist, I want a different shape, I want to look a different way. Maybe the fat loss is part of the equation, but building muscle is the other part of the equation. We're always talking about two sides. Whenever we talk about a ratio, there's two sides that can be changed or manipulated. So I can lose some body fat. I could also gain some muscle. I can do both at the same time, right? So thinking about it from I want to decrease my body fat percentage is a very different conversation in how you approach the plan than I just want to lose. I want to lose weight. Or I want to lose body fat.
Hates weight loss and fat loss discussions.
I don't hate it. It's
triggering.
It's triggering. Yeah, it's triggering. I'm not saying that weight loss or fat loss is bad. I'm just saying that there's more to it. And if we can look at the bigger picture, then it gives us more opportunities, and it's a lot more flexible in how we approach things.
Well, especially when you're talking about the last 15, 20 pounds, right? Because it's always going to be more. Let me just say this for everyone. Those last XYZ number of pounds, whatever you're focused on, the last, meaning you're already pretty far along. Those are the hardest to go, the hardest to lose. And Juliana said that's why she brought up the academy. Yes, we are literally starting a summer shred, shape being building muscle, maintaining muscle, shred being losing body fat challenge tomorrow inside the academy. So Christine, I think this is the Christine who has been in my programs before. We would love to have you back with us for this one. Or if you have never been with us before, we would love to have you in this one. You can get more info at nataliejgrasso.com, or just comment. I will find you and get you the info. But we're starting tomorrow. I'm sending out all the info today to everyone who's already signed up about our next training program. And we help each and every individual. We meet you where you are. We help you find the right macros for you, for your goals. And every single week, we're going to help you basically identify the challenges and the obstacles that are holding you back, help you move through those so that you can accomplish your goals. So,
I got 2 more questions and then we can call it. First off, how did we meet?
Well, wait,
Was it love at first
weren't there
sight?
other questions related to the topic up at the top?
There were just statements, a lot of statements.
No, I know there was.
Well, we're not going all the way back up.
I want to answer people's questions about fitness.
Well, there's one more. There's one more after this one. But how did we first meet? Was it love at first sight?
At a keto event, and it was.
We have a whole video that we did. If you go back in our playlist, we have a whole video about how we met.
Yeah.
So if you want to go watch that, but in
It
general,
was a done deal.
It was love, and he says, "How did you first meet?" Although my biology professor in college insists that it was at first smell, not first sight.
Oh, like pheromones?
Yeah, but
He fell in love with my red heels.
I did not smell her for a while after I saw her, and yes, it was definitely not first smell.
He saw my stage video up on my
I saw her stage
screen
video.
where
Then I may have been hanging around your booth and saw you walk up to your booth and was like,
in
"Oh
the
yeah,"
same red
in
heels.
the same red heels. Yeah, I was like, "Oh yeah." Now let me get. Then it was like, "Okay, I'm gonna go smell her now." So I just walked. Okay, real question. Topic related. I had this question about resources on exercise sequence. How important is it?
Oh, that was the question she had asked earlier.
Okay.
So I knew there was something else.
Sequence. There's a lot that goes into when we program. And in general, I think the biggest thing is if you're going to do strength work, do your strength work before you do your endurance and cardio. That's probably the biggest.
And I'll also mention generally the way I program and the way most trainers are going to program your workout, your training
Big
workouts.
lifts before accessory lifts.
Compound lifts first. So the heavier, the full body, explain compound lifts. What's the definition of
multiple joints and muscles involved in the lift?
So things
Not
like
isolation.
your squats, your deadlifts, your lunges,
Bench
your
press,
overhead press, your bench
things like
press,
that.
things like that. And generally, it's going to incorporate the larger muscles of the body first.
Right.
You're not going to start with the biceps. If you have a back and biceps day, generally you're going to start with back movements.
Right. You want to get the high intensity lifting done first, and then you can go into the smaller muscle and more isolation work.
And sometimes I'll throw things in there, like for instance, rear delts is the back of your shoulder, and it is a really important muscle to develop the full roundness of the full shoulder. And most people neglect it. They do a lot of like shoulder presses and things that are going to work the front and the side delt, but they avoid that back delt, and then they don't get the full benefits. So every once in a while, I might throw in rear delts at the beginning of a back day, for example, so you can target them and you can activate them before you start doing your other muscles. So I might throw things in there from time to time, but usually you'll see that in my programming and in most trainers' programmings where you're going to have those compound lifts, larger muscles first, and then you work toward what we call the accessories. And that's, your biceps, your triceps, your leg extensions, your hamstring curls, things like that.
Okay. I think Vadim gets a prize today.
Okay, yeah.
I had like 5 questions.
We dove deep with Vadim today, yes.
So Vadim, if you could send either me or Coach Nat a message on our Instagram or somehow, I guess Instagram would be the best way. Okay. So if you know, my Instagram is at coach.bronson. Hers is at Keto Bikini Pro. Shoot us a message. Let us know what your mailing address is, and we'll get you a bag of Keto Brains.
Congrats.
Other than that, thank you guys very much. We appreciate your time, and we will see you next week.
Keep training.